in, in Indonesia, but I don't know whether like people who die due to COVID-19 is increasing as well. But we have so many cases nowadays. I think it's this week, about this week we have so like increasing cases, especially like in a big city. So yeah, it's pretty hard to people in a big city. They have, I think it's like semi lockdown. I don't know whether it's like fully lockdown or not, but yeah, I think we are in a just semi lockdown, you know.
Yeah, I think we can start now, Miss Ruth, and all the participants and all the uh, speakers. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into Indonesia-Cambodia Youth Initiative Program. And now we are ready in the third webinar session. So please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gianli Immanuel Bagensa. You may call me Gianli. And I would like to, on behalf of Ruang International, I would like to thank you very much to all the speakers, moderator, and also all the participants that joined to this webinar session. I'm as an executive director of Ruang International, so happy to welcome you all of you guys, to join this webinar. And for your information about this session, will be we will talking about ideological and youth awareness, fighting separatism and separatism and radicalism in Indonesia and Cambodia. So, I wish all the best, guys, for this webinar, to take more information and to take more knowledge from all the speakers. And we, hopefully, we can uh, have a nice discussion for this session. Okay. Uh, Before I start the webinar this afternoon, I would like to introduce our moderator for this session. Allow me to share screen. Wait a moment. Sorry. Uh, okay. Yeah. This is our moderator for the third webinar session, ideological and youth awareness approachment in fighting separatism and radicalism in Indonesia and Cambodia. This Van Troy wrote as the co-founder of Ruang International Cambodia, and she is also still as the bachelor student in international relations of the University of Cambodia, and also now as the assistant executive director at Youth Committee for Unity and Development, YCUD, and also the sales marketing team leader at Macro Cambodia, and also former volunteer in ICS project. And the last, she is the former English teacher at Visual Pet School. To meet Van Railroad, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenly, for introducing me, and I will be the moderator today. So let me introduce our next guest speakers. Um, let's move to the next slide. Let welcome to our beautiful guest speakers, Miss Laila Intri Yanti Fitri. She is a lecturer and researcher in International Relations Department of University Jayabayars and also a doctoral student in Criminology departments focused on bioterrorism of University Indonesia. And she is master degree in tourism studies of University Indonesia. Also, she is a graduate as bachelor degree in international relation of Universities of Jayabayars. Also, the member of Indonesia team researcher at ASAP International Japan Indonesia. And also she is perform community content director at KPPA local GMH. So let's welcome to our next speakers from Cambodia. Cambodian speakers, his name is Kang Ki. He is graduate from bachelor degree in international relations of Panyasastra University of Cambodia, and he performs as young professional researchers at Future Forums. Also, he is performed as president of Youth Morality Educator, project managers, also program planner at Bandit Center for Young Education. Also, he is a member legal of International Relation Affair. And let's welcome our third speakers, Indonesian speakers. He is Ricky Yalus Christine. He is a bachelor student in elementary education and teacher training at University Chambers and education program development of Peace Ladder Indonesia. Also, he is a founder and director general in Empower Youth Assembly Model United Nations 2021, and he is chief of staff in Forest International MUNs. So after introducing about all speaker, I would like to give the floor to our first speaker, Miss Laila. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rod. First of all, hi everyone. I hope you all in a good condition and I hope you all healthy. Before I start the presentation, my presentation is actually didn't really have much. I mean, like I don't really prepare a lot because when we are actually talking about radicalism on youth, it's actually it's a pretty big ideas, and then like it's pretty a lot to talk. So I only will focus on several issues. I actually will only focus about one particular issue and on how actually youth can help us to prevent or to preempt, to do some preemption movement for youth to actually tackle the radicalism, and how actually the youth is actually being the most targeted on uh, on the issue. Okay. Wait. Okay. 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 When we are the wait. Okay. Sorry. Okay. The first there will only be two part of my paper presentation, which is like the first one that we have to actually understanding what is the meaning of the radicalism. Radicalism, that radicalism is actually connected as or being seen as terrorism issues. And then the third one on how actually the radicalism is happen among youth, and then we can actually see the study case on this issue. The first one, when we actually talk about terrorism issues, when we actually see, radicalism is sometimes led to things called radicalism will sometimes lead to an act of terror, right? So actually, when we actually talk about terrorism can be defined as an act of violence or threats to commit acts of violence directed against a random target. So when we actually talk about terrorism or like radicalism group, there's a fine line, or like there's a clear message that when we're talking about terrorism, they will attack to a random target. But when we actually talk about radicalism or like a group of radical people, then they will have the right target. When let's say the radical group that we know, such as let's say Popular Front, Liberal, or like East Turkestan movement, East Turkestan Islam movement, or ETIM, the one that the radical group that happened in China, they will act when they do the attack, they will attack the government of China. They won't attack random people or like random tourists. So it's pretty different. But then Gaines and Miller said that terrorism means different things to different people and at different situations. When let's say when Indonesia have this terrorism event back on 2019, when it happened, it's actually happened in the heart of Jakarta, where it's pretty near to our president. The people that was living in Jakarta will be fear of it, because it was like it's in the heart of Jakarta, and it shows that the securities in around that area is not really good. But then when the same thing happens, the people from outside of Jakarta, or like people that living outside of Indonesia, they will only see the event as a terrorism attack, and then they will feel the fear that the people in Jakarta happen to feel. So that's actually when we call about terrorism. But then when we actually called about a radical group, when we talk about radical group, there's always a question in mind whether it's actually will every act of terror is actually this radicalism group will evolve as a terrorist group in the future, or at least can we define any radicalism movement as a terrorist group like KKB in Papua? When we're talking about radicalism, most of the radicalism group or like radicalism group that happened that became a terrorist group is actually came from the one that being it's not bully, being pressed by the government. So when we actually talking about this radicalism group will evolve as a terrorist group, it's not always that, but then there are some radicalism group that will stay as a radicalism group, but then there are some radicalism group that will evolve as a terrorist group. As we know that several of the names in here, like Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, Abu Nida organization, there's a pattern that in this kind of group or in this kind of radicalism group, that they will turn somehow into a terrorist group. When we're talking about youth and radicalism, then the first question in mind is actually why youth and why we have to talk about radicalism to youth. Because based on the survey and based on the Instagram demographic, when we're talking about the users in Instagram, this is the result for Indonesian side. So 81.1% of Instagram users from Indonesia is actually aged from 13 and 34. And based on my personal survey that I held on 2020, 1 from 5 students, or like one from 5 people that I actually interview, know things about dark web, or at least either they actually know about it, either they actually already access it, or either they actually play inside the dark web. So why should we worry about this? Because when we're talking about youth, the online social networks have a big impact, because when we are youth, we are actually, this is the pattern that happened in Indonesia. The youth in Indonesia mostly will follow the religious seeking. When we are in the age of 13 until 34, we're actually started to question about a lot of things. A lot of things such as, what is God? Why do I have to, let's say you are a Muslim, why do I have to pray? Why do I have to do fasting? Why do I have to go to church? And then there's a lot of a question that mostly rely on the religious seeking. And then this in the youth in Indonesia, the religious seeking and socialization phase is actually pretty common. When we're talking about the youth in Indonesia, we know that some of the youth in Indonesia is actually have a small groups of friends that will gather together, and then they will do religious things. Let's say if you are a Muslim, then you will recital the Quran together. If you are a Christian, and then you will go to the church together, and then you have this kind of mission for the children together. And then so yeah, when you are a youth, you are actually will have a small groups of friends, a small close friends that in line with your religious view. Now, this religious seeking, this phase of searching for religious things that happen in youth is often preceded by personal crises, such as loss and griefs that precipitate the need for alternative solution. When we are youth, we often have a dramatic heartbreak, broke up with a boyfriend, broke up with a girlfriend, and then we tend to rely on our friends or our groups of friends to actually cheer us up, to actually changes the mood, and then so on and so forth. And then this kind of group, when you are actually joining the kind of, let's say, the radical groups, then you will most likely turn into a radical person as well. For the students, and then the things is, when you are a youth, let's say this last 2 years, we are actually facing pandemic COVID-19, and then we actually can see that what happened during the COVID-19 is that we cannot meet everyone, then we have to study from home, and then we have to stay on the phone like 20, before maybe let's say 18 hours per day. Now we have to stay at home at phone, or like even at laptop like 24 hours a day. And then it's actually pretty changing. So these changes that coming, it's actually making the youth more likely to be be seen, or at least to have a contact with a radical content, which make these possibilities are making huge, because every day they generally always access the internet. Who doesn't access the internet nowadays? Let's say when we actually the Wi-Fi is turned off because let's say the parents forget to pay the bill, or like let's say you are running out of data at your phone, then you are most likely will try your best to actually reconnect to the internet. Or how many actually cafes or like restaurant nowadays that when you are actually sitting in the restaurant, the first thing you ask is not the menu of the restaurant, but then you ask about what is the password of the Wi-Fi, because you actually wanted to connect to the internet. And this is why the youth is actually pretty easy to filled to get the radical content. And then based on the survey that we held, that I held to 2020, the motive of students to access radical sites were largely because of curiosity. So they basically curious about what is happening on this website. And then various platforms in cyberspace and the presence of social media open up many opportunities for students to search and find the information they want, including information about radical movement. We know platforms like Twitter and Facebook are often become media that are used by radical groups to attract cadres. So the radical group or like the terrorism group that actually already pretty familiar with the platform like Twitter and Facebook is actually, we know some, such as let's say Al-Qaeda, or like when you are actually talking about this issue, this specific issue in Indonesia, we know Jamaah Ansarut Daulah with his leader Aman Abdurrahman, and how he actually despite the fact that he was actually now a prisoner inside the prison, which means that he cannot giving a speech, he cannot giving his point of view on radicalism, on terrorism, but his statement is still out there. I mean, there are a lot of websites that actually still post about his speech about whether the Muslim society have to move, and then so on and so forth. And then when we are talking about this in Indonesia itself, there are no boundaries on website. I mean, when we are comparing what happened in Indonesia, and then let's say in Indonesia, you can make website in seconds. You can make every website, you can make your own website in seconds. Like you can go to, let's say, blogspot.com, and then you make your own domain, and then you only pay, let's say, 100,000 rupiah, which is like $1. No, $10. And then you have your own website. You can control it, you can manage it, and everyone can access it. Let's say you and then you wanted it to show on the Google search platform as the #1 website. Let's say if you type about radicalism, let's say, and then boom, you wanted your page to be the first one they seen, they most like you only have to pay, let's say, another 100,000 rupiah. So to make the youth is actually to make you to see your content is pretty cheap in Indonesia. It's pretty different, let's say, if we compare to another country such as, let's say, China or like North Korea, where the government is actually filtered every information that the citizens get. So it's pretty different. And then that's what happened. And then when we're actually talking about this, that's what happened when we are talking about this, how do the youth can how do we actually tackle it? And then let's say, how do we actually doing a preventive solution for this radicalism that might happen on the youth? The first thing that we can do is actually, if you are pretty familiar, there's a theory on the communication major. It's like the filtering. I forgot the right name for the theory, but then it actually says about the media is work as a filter to filter every information, and then the information that you actually get as citizens is actually already being filtered by the government. So actually, when we're talking about the radicalism on youth, the first thing that we can actually do as a youth is actually try to questioning every newspaper that we actually read. Because when we are talking about the media, let's say, the media have its owner based on the reality. Let's say what happened in Indonesia, we have two big medias. Let's say Metro TV or TV One. Each of the media is actually being have different owner, and then they have their political perspective. And when they actually have a different political perspective, each media, when it was like election time, they will try to make the uh, other uh, other other what is it called, other president, or like the current president, to look bad on the media. And then that's what happened when you actually see the media. So when the first thing we can do as a youth to prevent the radicalism on youth is actually try to question every news that you get, even when it's come from your closest friends. I mean, the first thing that you gotta do is actually question about everything, whether this is the right one, or whether is it the right one. I mean, thank God for the internet. Then we actually can know about a lot of things happen much faster than, let's say, in 1990, or like on 2000, on the year of 2000, or like on the year of 1990, where when something happened on the on the on the right on the different side of the world, then we just know about it after we read it on the paper, or like we read it on the newspaper. But now, thanks for the internet, even when you open the Instagram, you can actually see people post about everything, range from, let's say, the food that they are eating until the news that they are reading. So yeah. And then the radicalism on youth is actually can happen pretty fast, because when you are accessing Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, their algorithm, we're talking about the algorithm of the social media now. The algorithm on the social media is actually, they will only give you the content that you actually like. Let's say when you are opening your Facebook, you like a content about cat, your page will somehow only seeing you the videos of cats, whether it's the cats doing TikTok, or like the cats is actually dancing, or like the cats is sound like a human. But then let's say when you're actually like to read the radicalism content, let's say you like to watch how people try to how, let's say, they make a video about how to make your own bomb at home, let's say, the algorithm will show you the same type of video, like the one that you just watched, or like the one that you just like. So this is what drive the youth can be a radical people much easier, because the youth is actually, when you are a youth, you actually accept everything that you get. you will try to accept everything that you get, and then from there, that's what happened, and then that's what makes the youth is actually the most vulnerable case that you might get to be radical. Let's say on my own personal experience, because I was majoring on terrorism issues, we actually have happened to capture a father of a children that actually a terrorist, and then the father is actually being held at the prison, and then when we actually try to connect to his children, the children says that we is a devil because we actually captured his father, and then he didn't, the kid didn't want, didn't want to speak to us because the youth is like a sponge. If we describe it, when you are a youth, you are most likely like a sponge, and then every news or like everything that you get is like a water. What did a sponge do when a water fall down? The sponge will absorb everything, and then it will accumulate everything, and then that's what happened. That's why the youth is actually pretty. It's a pretty dangerous phase, because when you are actually involving with the wrong type of groups, then you will most likely become the closest groups that you have. It's like one of the writing that I read a couple years ago, I think, that says that you are 5 people that closest to you. Then let's say you have a 5 people that actually a radical person, then you are most likely will become a radical as well like them. So yeah, that was the end of my presentation. But I mean, I'm open for discussion, and then I will give the floor back to Rod. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Laila, for your great presentation. So I would like to inform all participants that you also can ask the question at the end of the session. So please take note or prepare any question you want to ask our speakers. So yes, I have a question to Miss Laila as well. So as I know, in Indonesia, most of the youth uh, change the platform, like they love using Instagram than Facebook. So what are the difference between these two platforms? Why they decided to play Instagram and stop using Facebook?
I actually think that one of the thing why why Facebook is fail to help their users, based on my perspective, is like because at first Facebook is like a very it's Facebook is most likely we can describe it as a village. So you write on that, and then when you are actually trying, Facebook is the first social media that we use, right? Before Friendster. Before Facebook, it's Friendster. Okay, I'm old. Sorry. And then when Instagram come, the first time Instagram come into the world of the social media, they give this exclusivity. They have this exclusivity, which is like back then at the birth of Instagram, if you are an iPhone user, then only an iPhone user that can actually use Instagram. That's why it happened to be the first time that when you get this sense of exclusivity. It's different with Facebook. With Facebook, you can access it through web, through Android. Oh, back then we don't have Android. Back then, I think you can access it through Nokia. Yeah, basically you can access it through your laptop. But then when you are actually using Instagram, it's only for the people that having iPhone. And then back then, I think it's when I was in the in the high school, I think. So yeah, I think it's around 2012, around 2012. Uh, so when you actually having Instagram, you became this cool youth that, oh, I have Instagram, you don't have, because you don't have iPhone. That sense of that sense of exclusivity most likely will trigger the youth to actually ask their parents to, hey mom, I want to have iPhone too, can you buy me one, because I want to play Instagram. But then after a couple years, I think around 2014, then the Instagram is actually starting to open to Android, to be open to Android. And then you basically Instagram observe every new social media feature that they have. Before Instagram have this Instagram stories, where you can post anything for one day. Remember the 15-second video? The first time that the first platform that actually using it is actually Snapchat. And then when Snapchat is actually promoting this 15 seconds video of live, people start to move from Instagram to Snapchat. But then at first, Instagram is actually saying things like, nah, I won't make it because it's not relatable. Because back then, Instagram is most likely like a photo album where you can actually keep everything in there. But then now we have a lot of things in Instagram. We have Instagram filter, we have Instagram stories, we have even Instagram Live, which is, I can say Instagram Live is coming from Periscope, when there used to be a Periscope back then, and it's pretty famous in Twitter. But then because of Instagram is actually kind of copycat the most the most famous feature of one app, and then they put it on this app. It's like, then the question is like, why Facebook is, it's not like that. When you are like in Facebook, the first thing, it's also connected to the user interface. When you're actually playing with Facebook, the first thing you see is like someone posts about anything. But then when you actually see Instagram, you can actually scroll it down, and then the first thing you see, let's say, oh, my friend is in Hawaii, he was having a vacation, and then you actually like it. And then it's like, when you're like in Facebook, it's maybe Facebook is like more likely for an oldies like me, maybe like me, like around 30, around 20, 25, where they already have, let's say, children, or like when, yeah, there's a sense of different feelings when you're playing with Facebook and Instagram. Because like, let's say Facebook is when you actually meet your other relative, your families, and then they will say, how are you, I haven't heard from you that long. And then like for Instagram, yes, and then sorry, the floor is lava.
Okay, yeah, I get your meaning, and for like in Cambodia, Facebook is really useful for everyone, especially like youth only use Instagram for their lifestyle. And because like the function of Facebook like can separate many information, but just in case about Facebook, also support to like sometimes sensitive video or anything also released in Facebook. So yes, so yeah, do our time is limit. So I would like to give the floor to our second speakers, Mr. Key. So are you ready? The floor is yours now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rod, for giving the chance to me. Yeah, greeting everyone, especially all the participants. Also, some of my friends from Cambodia too. And yeah, today I would like to see the perspective on our youth in Cambodia. related to the radicalism. And yes, this is based on my observation and also the perspective as youth in Cambodia and what I have seen so far in the Cambodian society. So I would like to raise some few points to let you all to understand about this. Okay, so by talking about the radicalism as Laila already have presented earlier with a lot of definition. So radicalism, it might have different definition because it's based on the different scholar, different situation, culture, and also it might happen different form of the radicalism. But here I just bring one of the definition. So radicalism, it refers to the group of the member who are suffer from social, political, and economic injustice, and they see that only change, which is the only way to bring back, okay, to bring back or to make things better, only change. Through that change, through political system change, or some other way that they can do. Or the word radicalism, we can say one more thing, it's same, not so much different from the extreme or absolute. It's been very, very tough one, that word. Yeah. And the word used in Cambodian context, we based on the national policy on youth development in 2011, we consider youth from 18 to 30. But maybe from other country may be different on this. And also Cambodian youth is one of the highest one in Southeast Asia. And here I just want to bring a little bit about the relationship between the radicalism and youth. Yeah, youth is in the core pillar in social, political, and economic development. So mean that youth play very, very crucial role in all form, especially in social, political, and economic development. And also youth we can say that can vibrate the country or maintain the peace and stability too. So the youth is like a very potential force that can make the country to be stable or to vibrate. Yeah. And for the politicians, they see that youth as the effective political tool in propaganda or take action to reach the goal. Because why? Because if the youth is psychologically, physically, or professionally trained, so that they can sacrifice everything to reach the goal. So as we know, youth, we can say simple that the one who not yet, to me, I refer to the one who not yet married, mean that they are single, so that they have enough time, they have more time, so they are not really connected to anything, even the mental, the physical or whatever, they do not have, I mean, the wife of the children. So that's why they have only the mentality to focus on one thing very, very great. Yeah. So that's why they have time, they have energy to contribute something very, very great on that. So if they have been used to be the political tool, they can sacrifice, okay, everything, even their life to achieve the dream. So that's why the people, they see like that, the politicians like to engage with the youth. And among with that, ideology is also one of the key terms that we cannot deny from political engagement with youth. So they really need to use the ideology in order to be the tool, the motive that can motivate youth to participate or to do something in to achieve the dream. And yeah, we know that ideology, we can translate it as the plan or the dream or the belief, I mean, to improve the society by changing the political system. So in whatever way, ideology is one of the important thing, but it in the neutral way, that whether it is negative or positive, but of course we do need the ideology in order to improve the society so far. And this is I want to bring very brief historical background about Cambodia, especially on ideology and Cambodian era. Okay, so I just bring very quick one is about from the French colonial Kingdom of Cambodia, Cambodian Republic until nowadays. So we have around seven period that we in each period we also gone through with different kind of ideology, but I just want to pick only one to present today is about in 1975 to 1979, because this is we call the time of the radicalism that our topic want to focus on. But this is just for you to know that during the ideological rivalry or competition between the liberalism and communism, Cambodia also gone through with different kind of ideology, like the protectoratism from the French, then monarchy, then republicanism or liberalism, and then socialism, and then Maoism and Lenin, and then UNTA, and the last one is the constitutional monarchy or liberalism as nowadays. And this is just very brief one for you to just to know about the historical background that Cambodia have gone through so far with the ideology. And this is just something that I would like to talk about the motive of the radicalism. So why radicalism happen? And for most country, developing country, okay, cannot avoid this social problem, including corruption, injustice, land crisis, urbanization, mismanagement, resource inequality, or collusion, forest degradation. Because why? Most of developing country, they need to start everything from zero to the something. So that's why they need to get through this stage, like the corruption. Because why is corruption? Because in terms of the judicial power, the system of the structure of the power is still on the hand of a group of people. So that's why corruption is unavoidable. And every country, even developed countries, still have that. But for developing countries, one of the most thing. And injustice also, because the structure of the power is also on the ruling party. And the land crisis, yeah, or land grabbing, yeah, this is very one of the serious problem, even especially in Cambodia, because now the price of land is increased, so that's why people start to grab the land in order to confirm that it is belong to them. And urbanization, mismanagement, resource inequality, and forest degradation is very sensitive issue for Cambodia. Like the forest recently, you said has just cut off the aid from Cambodia because they believe that there is no, I mean that the forest degradation is still happen, still occur, cannot stop there. So that's why they cut off the aid to protect the forest anymore. So all of these things, we can see that it's the motive of radicalism, because people who are suffer injustice, corruption, and see all of these things in the as the social problem. So that's why they try to form as a group to defend their land, or to try to protest in order to bring back what they really want, because they see that what have really happened to their life is very injustice. They are feel that they are injustice. That's why the radicalism, it could happen in that way. And along with that, war is one of the factors in keeping youth away from political involvement, because the old would keep this narrative to haunt them. Well, this I just would like to bring your attention a bit about the Cambodian situation on political issue. We really fears of the politic, because the way that people in Cambodia define politics is different. It seems like politics is very dark one that cannot touch. Politics is such a scary thing that you should not know. You should just keep yourself away. So that's why the old still keep this narrative to haunt the youth, that you should not involve on that. Yeah. Even you are facing with all of this thing in corruption, injustice, environmental degradation, or something like that, or land, especially the land grabbing, it's you should protect yourself rather than make any war or something like that. So it seemed like because uh, the narrative from the Khmer regime that I have just told you in the previous slide, it also have it seemed like the nightmare for Cambodia even now. Yes. And the next, I will talk just two things when you talk about Cambodia. The first is about Angkor Wat Temple. It refers to the most prosperity one of Cambodia, and the king that you cannot miss that make Cambodia famous either. It's about Khmer genocide or Khmer regime. This is one of the most bitter tests ever in Cambodia, because we lost about around 2 million people lives in that period of time, just in 1975 to 1979. You may have about the killing field, or you know about the genocide in different countries, and you think that that might be the most serious case in the world, but this is in Cambodia. It's not really far from now. It's just around 40 years ago. It happened in Cambodia. There are people who are really practice the radical movement, radical regime to change the whole country. And what really they want? They want to make Cambodia great again. Not make America great again, but Cambodia great again like the Angkor periods. That's why, because of their radical idea, they want to make the agricultural sector better as Angkor period. That's why they bring back with, they need to spend 2 million people lives in that region. Yeah, not 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, but 2 million people. A lot. This is just the statistic that we record. How about more than that? Others that we lose the information during these 3 years. A lot of things. And this is one of the bad, the worst ever in Cambodian society. And yes, I am a Cambodian youth. I still remember this at the most, at the worst ever leadership, that leaders should think about that. And at the time, yes, they call the great leap forward. It means that they want to jump just one step to reach the top. as the previous time. And this is the best example that I would like to show everyone, that this is the best example of radicalism that happened in Cambodia so far. And now I would like to draw your attention a little bit on the contradiction of the radicalism in Cambodia on the current issue nowadays. So right now, between the government and civil society, they have different perspective on radicalism. Government have done many things to keep peace, stability, and development through creating different mechanism, including law, institutional power, and just association, in order to make sure that peace is the fundamental element that really need to improve the society. Okay, but in terms of freedom of speech and freedom of expression on Jews, since the criminal law on Article 498 and Article 494 adopted, it seems like the way that people, especially youth, engage in politics or have to talk about the social issue or express about the view they're willing, it seems like getting low and low. Because you see in this article, whatever thing, including the text, or you post on Facebook, okay, or you just talk on phone, or whatever sign, whatever way that you connect each other in order to spread the information, or it seems like you spread anything that contain the criticism, racism, or talk about the sensitive information that can be counted into the that case, you're gonna call the criminal one. Yeah. So everyone when hear about the criminal, I really scared, even me. Yeah. I don't want to be in the prison too. Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. So this is the thing that really dangerous for Cambodian youth nowadays, that they see that this is, I don't know, from the, I mean that from the perspective, civil society, NGO, and youth, they see that this is seem like the criminal, okay, the radical movement of government on the civil society, okay, because in my view, yeah, this is in my view, the idol of the government see the civil society and NGO who are financially supported from the foreign aid as seem like the enemy, okay, but some, okay, some, and I mean not all, some, okay, some organization, NGO and civil society, it seems like they are enemy. Because why? Because they touch on the sensitive issue like environment, like corruption, injustice. So a lot of these things, it seems like very sensitive one, okay? And government, I don't know, it is just to me too, okay? Government seem like they are perfect at all level. It seems like that. They do not accept anything. It seems, yeah, it seems like to be that, okay? And the eye of the civil society and NGO see that government should improve, okay? They just report, do some this report on that and suggest some advice to the government, but sometimes government seems like, yeah, I am the government, so whatever I do is in like correct all, okay? Yeah, but yeah, so this is just something I call contradiction, okay, of radicalism in Cambodia between the NGO or civil society and the government. They see each other in that way. So it's very difficult, okay, especially for youth to involve or to talk about politics, yeah, in that time. Okay, and this is just an example, okay, one of the example recently that 3 environmental activists have been I think just sentenced, okay, just arrested recently and also sent to the court already, but I don't know that what's going on. Okay, and this is just recently, but we have many. Okay, some already jail and some even days. Okay, in the prison too. Yeah, and yeah, it seems like because they touch on the sensitive issue like corruption, land grabbing, or forest degradation, and so forth. So if you want to involve in politics, do not touch on those sensitive issues. It would be that. Okay, yeah, just want to raise some case that happened recently. Okay, and come to the end of my short presentation, to conclusion. So radicalism in Cambodia right now, it seems to still to be blurred and contradict, okay, in definition and action. Okay, because it's very hard to define what really mean, okay, to avoid radicalism and what really radicalism mean. Okay, it seems like to be blurred now. Okay? And the youth is afraid to take any action because it can be, yeah, if they use inappropriate word or they use any kind of connection communication, it would be turn them into that thing. Okay, yeah, in criminal law, very powerful one. Yeah, very one of the effective tool. Okay, yeah, and we still know that youth still play very critical role in political, social, and economic development. Yeah, and Khmer regime, yeah, I have mentioned, is the result of radicalism in Cambodia, which occurs during the ideological rivalry, okay, between communists and also the liberalism at the time. Yeah, and also the legacy of Khmer regime is like nightmare, okay, for Cambodian to touch on political issue. Yeah, because why? Government try its best to prevent reoccurrence of Khmer regime, to prevent, okay, in no whatever way. Okay, peace is the fundamental. Okay, peace is the fundamental. That's why sometimes this is very sensitive and contradict to think about peace development and what is wrong and what is right. Yeah, okay, so a lot of issues sometimes. And the contradiction of radicalism between government and civil society and human youth is still on the rise. Okay, since the criminal law adopted. Okay, so when criminal law adopted, it really scary even for me. Yeah. So yes, thank you for your attention. Yeah, thanks for listening to me. And you can go to my additional reading if you wish to read on the criminal law or yes, that's all from me. I would like to give the floor to Miss Broad.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. K. Your presentation really catch my mind. Yeah, especially about the youth issue who are involved with environmental issue and they have problem with the government, with the police, and most of the active youths in Cambodia always have problem with that. So I have a question with you. Do we can see that most people who are involved with social issue always catch by the police? So do you think it can stop youth in Cambodia to involve with social issue or encourage them to struggle for their life?
Yeah, that from my perspective, I think that even we see some, especially the people who are really active, or we can say the activists, environmental activists, have been caught or sent to the jail, many until now. Okay, but the way that now we come into the globalization and we come into the modern era. So that's why the people, the way that people, the old and the new thing is not the same, different. New generation, they really hungry our real democratic They really want really magnetic and also need their right to do the right thing. They want to see the improvement, development, the real one, especially the justice one in the society. So I think even there is something happened so far in Cambodia, but the way that you see the thing is still different. And I think that it cannot stop them from participating and involved. That even we have law, we have other mechanism to ban the use. But the way that they still can see that, yeah, it sometimes to scare them, to sometimes they just yeah, we see that they can kill one, okay, to to frighten 100, okay, kill one to frighten 100. But the way that people they use participate, they can still use different way, because now it's modern technology, okay. So it still cannot stop them. Yes, that in my view.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Do I saw one participant raise their hand for a question, but we will open a Q&A question at the end of the session, so you can prepare so that you can answer. We want to finish our third speaker first. So just I have one another question, as you have mentioned, but still we can see the youth in Cambodia still scared, still afraid of joining the social issue. So what we can approach youth to be more confident to involve with all the issue that happen in our society. Yes.
Well, when youth get the education, the foundation of education is very, very important. Knowledge or information is the power. And to me, I think that youth, we can approach youth to be confident in participate in politics is through the education. Education is very, very important. And education is the foundation of all development, okay, in the society. And it seems like the blood vessel, okay, to sustain the development in the society. So just my point of view and my advice to the youth to participate in politics, the first they should improve themselves, okay, improve themselves through education, make sure that they are strong enough, okay, they are powerful enough with that. Second thing, yeah, it may be the thing they can do to do the protest, non-violent protest, but it seems like not effective. So through education, this is I still focus again education. Mean that when they are well educated, they can have network, they can have more people to know them. So that's why they can raise any problem, okay, with confidence or with full report. I mean that, okay. So they can suggest to the government, okay, in that way. This is the best way to improve society and avoid conflict and violence. Only through paper, through academic field, that would improve that kind of thing. But through violence, I think you have nothing. Okay, even you can form anything, yeah, but how can you form many people together? But if you are alone and you go to protest to show that you are in the injustice, okay, you got injustice, but no one care about you. But if you have many voice through your potential, your popular, your education, your network, that's why you can protect them. You can raise that. And if you can, so you want to solve that problem and you see that this is really injustice, okay, you can do that through education, through paper, on academic field only. Yeah, that to me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer once again. It is so great. So now do the time also limit. So I would like to give the floor to Ricky. So it is your turn now. Thank you.
Thank you for giving the floor. Am I audible? Am I audible, everyone?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
we
but
hear you.
still low. Not really much. Can you make it?
All right, I'll do that. Um, just a second. Okay. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about um, youth awareness, especially in Indonesia, in regards to the radicalism and separatism, and especially intolerance, because in Indonesia, radicalism is more like related to the like racial conflict or even like related to the religion issues. Not religion issues like um, we could say that um, it's like misuse of the religion to to like make political changes or system. Yeah, I will explain more details after that. But yeah, first of all, greetings everyone. My name is Ricky Luis Christian. I'm currently studying in Faculty of Teacher Training in University of Jember, Indonesia, and I'm also as an activist in Peace Leader Indonesia. Peace Leader Indonesia is like an organization which is working to advocate and to promoting peace, and we're also educate people to understand about what is radicalism and how to build harmony in a diversity. Because Indonesia is a diverse country. We have so many like religion and beliefs, and we respect all of them. And the problem is that the common issue is that there is a lot of conflict which is related to the radicalism, which is come from um, religion. Yeah. Okay, we can move to the another slide. Okay. So first of all, I would like to say that the first the first point that I want to discuss here is about why youth matters to be discussed in regards to intolerance, radicalism, and extremism. So next slide. All right, here you go. First, youth are really potential. Yeah, I would like to say that you are the next generation, and we do realize, and government do realize that empowering youth is more important, and it is also it is also happening in extremist group. Like they are targeting young people because they are real potential and they are the next generations, and they it sounds cliche, but yeah, it's obviously what extremists are looking for, the next members in their organizations. That's why youth matters in this topic. And then the second one is radicalism is growing among Indonesian students. And as I've mentioned before, that it's related to the like religion issue. um yeah um Regarding to the survey of Alpha Research Center and Mata Air Foundations in 2017, 23.4% university students in Indonesia admit jihad or holy war to establish an Islamic state in Indonesia. Actually, I'm not mentioning that whether it's right or not to create Islamic State in Indonesia, but since we are diverse and it's kind of more like possible for any conflict in the future. Um, if we just exclusive in just one religion, so that's why our ideology as well is um, Indonesia has like an ideology, and the motto is um, unity in diversity, and we respect as well um, about the freedom of religion. So but the problem is that we found that young Muslims in Indonesia are targeted by extremist groups. The reason is that this group is massively brainstorm young Muslims in order to recruit them by claiming as a religious community. And all right, it's not about I'm not trying to generally like mention about Muslims in general, but it's like um, actually I have so many friends in Muslim because majority people in Indonesia are Muslims and they are really nice actually. Yeah, to be honest. But in the other hand, sometimes extremist group came from the power of majority because they feel that they are same and they have power and maybe they think that they are boss because they have so many support. So that's why extremist groups are like claiming that they are a religious community and try to do ideology cultivations and then try to brainstorm their thoughts, young people thoughts by using the name of God and misusing the Bible script, for example. And it's really easy, right? When, for example, when me try to convincing people in the name of God, when you have the same religion, it will be easy to convince people to join our organization or something, right? And this is also happening in Indonesia, and then also moral cultivation. It's after the ideology they trying to build like the moral and then the actions. And yeah, actually, we found as well that extremist groups and terrorism are connected, but it's different ways to achieve their goal. For example, when they try to build Islamic country, for example, this is the goal. But if it is extremist group, they are just trying to like um, trying to change the political system or so on and so forth. And then if it's terrorism, they try to make a conflict, like bombing a church, for example, and yeah, you know what I mean, like different parts. And the evidence is that we found as well the evidence that one of the extremist group in Indonesia mentioning that um, they support ISIS, like terrorism organizations, and yeah, we found the evidence as well about this, and it's also proof that extremist group are connected um, with terrorism. Yeah, that's what I mean in this case. And as we know that youth are lack of identity, they are trying to find what is the right things and what is wrong and what I should follow, and they are so vulnerable. That's why extremist groups are looking for youth because they are so vulnerable and also so potential. And yeah, this is matters. So youth awareness is really important in this case. Next slide. Yeah, and the next is what is happening in Indonesia related to the terrorism actions, like in this 2021. First, we have explosion in Makassar on March 2021, the suicide bombing at a cathedral on Palm Sunday. The bomber is a part of Jamaah Ansar Daulah, which was mentioning by Miss Laila before. And then also after that, we in the same month, which is March, we have young women attack Indonesian National Police headquarters in Jakarta, like they um, have a gun and then like trying to shooting a police in the headquarters. And then yeah, it's and after and of course the police killed them, but I don't know the procedure, but since they have a gun and like and then after they are trying to look for the information of these women, and then yeah, they are she also connected with Jamaah Ansar Daulah. This but what made me feeling so sad is that this is young women, and I believe that women is a part of life because I was born from women, and I have been growing up by a woman, and yeah, women is a part of life. And I would like to say that how dare people manipulate women to do some terrorism action. And yeah, This is what I mean. It's not just terrorism is terrorism is not just targeting men but also women in nowadays. And yeah, this is the fact. And next, so yeah, this is related to the survey that I've mentioned before. 23.4% university students in Indonesia admit jihad or holy war to establish like Islamic State. But yeah, I would like to emphasize once again that I really like the system in like Saudi Arabia, which is Islamic Muslim. But we have to understand when we want to create a country, we have to understand our society, which is more diverse in Indonesia. And like we have Buddhists, we have Catholic, we have, and when people trying to build this system, it kind of more like it can be possible to make a big conflict in our country. When people group of people are yeah trying to do this, and then also senior high school. This is the problem as well in Indonesia, that senior high school um, is also they agreed for jihad. And yeah, we didn't know as well whether this detail about first like research, but you can also check on the website. But yeah, this is the result. And it means that young people are vulnerable nowadays. And I believe that um, our our country have to um, I mean take more attention on this issue. And next, and then yeah, I will move to the what you can do to tackle intolerance, extremism, and racial conflict. In this picture, these two peoples are from the one is from what is it, Bahai, and the one is from Ahmadiyya. And we're not trying to and if you can see, there is a worship place of Buddhist, right? Yeah, this is our program where we be sitting like a worship place. It's not, we're not trying to pray, but we're trying to like connect with people who are different. We're trying to make a dialogue, because it this is what we need, dialogue. Because the more we people exclusive, it can make a boundaries. And but we have a dialogue, and then we are trying to get to know one another. It can be helpful for us. For example, me, I'm a Christian, and I have so many friends which are Muslims. And if I didn't know how what is Muslims, and then what should I do, I mean how to treat them properly, like maybe yeah, I think dialogue can be more easily understand as a try to understand one another. And this is what we need, right? Yeah, this is the point of what you can do to tackle this issue. So we're not trying to like discuss about theology, but we're trying to build harmony in this dialogue. And yeah, of course, when I maybe for example, when it's really nice when in the workplace, for example, and I'm Christian and I have friends which is Muslim, and then it's about Ramadan, like yeah, and they have so many things to do to prepare for Ramadan, and but they have so many jobs. I can help them, right? Since I have no so many jobs in the workplace and at home, I can help them. And it can be also happening in when it's about like Christmas, when I have so many jobs and I have to prepare um, some preparation for Christmas. My friend who are Muslim can help me as well. It's a really nice society, right? That we expect. And yeah, we can go next. And yeah, the first thing that I would like to emphasize is education, not just about education, but understanding. I mean, yeah, first of all, to recognize whether this is intolerance, active actions, or extremist group, we have to understand first what is intolerance, extremism, racism. So, I mean, yeah, education is important, and it's not like just to teach people to understand intolerance, but in the practical. And it's not just formal education as well. I also would like to emphasize that this is, should be implemented in informal or non-formal education, such as family, such as community, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this might sound cliche, but education still has an important role to provide a safety place for students to develop social skills, attentiveness, or awareness, affections, and cognition. So yeah, but do remember that education is not about knowledge, but it's also about action, how we change our students in action. So yeah, but do remember, radical movement do not only recruit low skill, but also well-educated young individuals. So yeah, um, because it's different about skill and understanding about intolerance, extremism, because it's just about um, whether we are inclusive enough or exclusive enough. Yeah, next. And yeah, and then the second one is take action whenever you are, of course. And we have so many actions that you can be implemented, like I've mentioned before, like try to understand others, not to, okay, it's actually okay when you want to be more exclusive just for your religious, but in the society you have to more inclusive. I guess the dialogue will start when you are trying to open yourself, and it's not when you have boundaries with people. And yeah, for example, support your workplace, community, or when you are students, you can like um, try to respect the diversity and build harmony. Because actually in Indonesia, since we have like motto which is harmony in diversity, so majority young people believe that this issue is not that really crucial. Yeah, it's totally okay because they are not in the place. I mean, like facing or advocating this kind of issues. But we in this leader do realize that this issue is crucial. So yeah, try to respect diversity and build harmony through campaigns, dialogues, webinars. And if you think that this leader try to fight like ideology, no, we're not trying to fight ideology because it will be more like your thoughts and it can be more like make a conflict, but we're trying to make a good relation with them. We're trying to approach people who are vulnerable, for example, like Ahmadiyya and so on and so forth. So yeah, and then the second one is please say no for unofficial or unrecognized organizations, which is claiming as a religion group, and but they are more exclusive. Yeah, because this is also they are targeting students in school as well, university, and it's like a massive and structural sometimes. And yeah, this is what is happening. But this is about, I think we also have several issues related to the intolerance or like radicalism, but it's like more a different culture, but it's not that really harsh like um, radicalism, which is like a terrorist related to the terrorism actions. And yeah, and I think yeah, that's next we can go next. Okay, so for the next is what we have done in this leader Indonesia. So since I also concerned with this issue with this leader Indonesia, we have created more than 30 symposiums in the topic of peace, multicultural, sorry, multiculturalism, and interfaith, and harmony in diversity, and Pancasila. Like Pancasila is our ideology. This consists of 5 points, and then yeah, harmony in diversity is like our motto in Indonesia, and then we have peace goes to school. Yeah, of course, peace goes to school, peace goes to campus, and ngopis. Okay, basically ngopis is like ngopi in Indonesia. Ngopi is like when you have a cup of coffee, a, a cup of coffee with your friends in a table. It's called ngopi in Indonesia, and we change it to be ngopis. Like we talk about peace, we like in a form in non-formal way, like we discuss in a table and while having a cup of coffee. But it was when it comes offline. But now due to pandemic, we have like doing it by online by using Zoom, and then yeah, that's ngopis. And this goes to school, this goes to campus. Like we're we're come we're coming to campus and school to educate um the importance of peace and human rights, because yeah, we have to understand like that the basic of peace is human rights, right? So yeah, and the next we have webinar on the topic of peace, leadership, and youth. And then we also have Peace Air and Peace Radio. We have support from RRI, or is it Radio Republik Indonesia, which is like national radio. So yeah, they are supporting us. And then I'm sorry, I cannot see the number 7. Could you scroll? Yeah, like advocating uh, several issues such as racial conflict, discrimination, intolerance issues. Yeah, for example, like the most vulnerable one who are tend to get discriminations, like Ahmadiyya, Ahmadiyya group, or even Baha'i. Yeah, Baha'i is kind of religion, but in Indonesia, it's not that really. I mean, it's not like official religion. We haven't like acknowledged them, but yeah, peace leader is trying to help them to have a part in the society, like because they more exclusive. It's not just because they want to like doing some kind of radicalism, but they becoming more exclusive because they are not feeling safe in a place. So yeah, we help them to, for example, like get involved in some kind of discussion which is um, with like the leaders of religions in Indonesia. Yeah, for example, and then we can do campaigns as this leader Indonesia have done. And yeah, this and also we cannot do this by ourselves, but of course it should be with so many partners. We have, yeah, we have so many partners, especially we have like a community that like recognize not recognize, I think it's like government organization as well, which is working on the harmony. Like it's like a place for all leaders in all leaders of religion, like that. So yeah, and so many partners as well, like which is working on the human women's right. We also have so many partners because we can do this by ourselves. uh, for example, when we found that um, there is a case like sexual abuse, for example, so we can contact our partner to take action of this and advocating this. Yeah, that's the example. I think yeah, we can go to the next slide, which is the last part. Um, can we moving on? Okay. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Together we build harmony in diversity, and yeah, that's all. I hope this is gonna be insightful. So yeah, I give the floor back to Shrey, to Rod, right?
Okay. Thank you, Ricky, for your great presentation. I really love your your mindset. And yeah, so now I would like to give the floor to participant who have the questions. And it coming to sharing session now. So if the participant have a question, you can raise your hand and you can unmute yourself to ask our speaker directly, or all the speaker. You can, and also you can put your question in comment. Yeah, we give the choice to you guys. Okay.
Hi. Hello, good evening.
Okay, Totla, yes, you have questions. So yeah, good evening.
Okay, so for me, good evening to everybody. Good evening to the ladies and gentlemen, and good evening to the how could I say? So I'm just a third year to fourth year of the international relation. I'm studying in the third year of international relation subject. So I would call that you are the senior of me. So I just got a question, but that question Ms. Rod asked to Mr. King already. After he just finished his talk, you asked like what Mr. King want to recommend to the youth to be brave enough to involve in their I mean society, as we know that our society is not a peace place, and that we have to be careful, like I mean we can be arrested at any time. So like Mr. King also mentioned that we have to boost our education, but I think that only education alone cannot do that. But I just want to know from Mr. King, like, do you want to add more? Like, if we just focus on the education, maybe like education require like 5 years or 6 years to study. So maybe we don't have, I mean, if we just focus on a study, maybe the bad people, like they still cut down the tree, and then something like we will destroy our country. So maybe do you have any other strategy on not only education, or maybe you have more thing? Yeah, so I just want to know from you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Mr. Key.
Yeah, thank very much, Mr. Tola, for your very wonderful question. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that just from my perspective, I see that, and you really raised you hit the point. Yeah, in our context, I think beside the youth try to focus on education, they still can build up network, and yes, to be to talk about the social issue. We have many way, different platform, and not only talk about the minute, not only we focus on the education and without caring about the social issue, because we are part of the society. And to me, I think another strategy or way can do so is about the curriculum. I still, to me, I still focus on education, but the curriculum of the university is very, very important in encouraging students to participate in the social issue. I just raised one case. The professor can initiate the program of the environmental protection. They can make a trip in order to let the student to visit the Prelong, okay, Prelong, the forest, to see that how much we are now, to see they can make the, I mean that before we go to the border or somewhere, we need to ask the permission or have I mean that in term of institution to go there, and we can do so. Yeah, I know that in our country may be restrict in some area, but this is one of the thing that can do so. And for my university from PUC, we also have done that. Like I did, yeah, some of the social work, like went to the temple, the Previhe temple or Tamwon temple, when we have the conflict with Thailand too. So I think this is the way that we can raise the awareness for youth to see that we really love the key about the environment or about the society. So I think rural education not only teach the student in the class, but in the real field to see the current situation is very, very important. Very, very important. So beside that, beside the reform of the education curriculum, the student, the professor or lecturer can do so in that way, but based on the commitment of the professor and the curriculum of the university too on that. And second thing, I think from the academic perspective too, I think a student can do so for that. Like we can make the report or in academic way to negotiate with I mean that if we see that that problem happen in that in any province, we can negotiate with that governor, okay, with that governor, but through only letter and use like what Ricky have mentioned so far, we only through negotiation, only through dialogue talk. We cannot use other means. If we do so, we might face, we know the current situation that we cannot even express something really sensitive on even on Facebook. So I think through the letter, it should be one other way to do that. And yeah, that is just all from me. I think maybe not really hit to the point and really satisfied to your question, but really this is just from me. Okay.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Mr. King. But so you just mean that you want to recommend the youth right now, not only study alone can push, I mean, can boost our society, become like prosperity, but students have to achieve, have to involve in their society problem right now, but not too much, right? Not too much. You mean like this? So if we just involve too much, we can be arrested at any time.
Yeah, Mr. Dola. It absolutely okay. And sometimes, yeah, this is just from me. Uh, During our youth time, our willingness, our mind maybe really, really push up to do something because we love the nation. We want to do something to achieve something quick. But the way is that if we really focus too much on the social problem and without caring about our education, that's why we need to balance between social work and education too. Because if we move too much to the social work too much, and then we forget about the education, we might end up with regret. Because I have learned some from the senior too, because they do a lot of things in social issue, but later on they cannot finish even the university, okay. And we see that some students also give up in the university level, so this is not really a good thing. So to me, I just recommend that they need to balance between social work and also the education, and education very, very important still.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. King. I got your advice. Yeah, thank you so much for your webinar today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So I saw another participant raise his hand. So Mr. So Hyun, so the floor is yours now.
All right, good evening to all speakers, moderator, and all participants who present here. My name is Mom So Hyun. I'm from Cambodia. Okay, first of all, I would like to say very, very thank you. And I am really delighted with your presentation. It's such an interesting topic and, interesting speech. All right. So after I listened to your presentation, I come up with a couple of questions. But one of my question, our moderator, Sreyrat, have asked this one already. But right now I have two more questions to ask all of you. All right. The first one is that what should we do to prevent Jews from any dangers when they stand up to talk about their, I mean, social issue? Like you know already, sometimes they are in danger when they stand up to talk about this one. So do you have any idea or any advice or any prevention to the youth to talk about this one? And another question is that you have mentioned about the, I mean, foundation of education and foundation of knowledge. So I come up with another question is that should Jews have any foundation of knowledge or education related to a social issue if they want to talk about the social issue? And if they need, so what the foundation of education or knowledge, I mean, should the youth know, all right, before or when they want to take part in the social issue or, I mean, yeah, another issue like you have mentioned earlier. All right, thank you. All right, that's it for my question.
Sorry, could you like um what is it called? Oh my god, like the part of after prevention, what you mentioned before, like yeah, like repeat again the first questions, like after the prevention.
Oh, the first, you mean the first question?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. My first question is that what should we do to prevent, I mean, the youth from any dangers when they stand up to talk about the social issue? This is my first question. All right. And my second question again, my second question is that I just want to know whether should youth need to know any foundation of education or knowledge about or relevant to the social issue if they want to talk or if they want to take part in the social issue like our topic have mentioned. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sophien, once again. And I would like to give the floor to Ricky. Can you respond to that question?
All right, so yeah, maybe I would like to answer the first question. So basically, freedom of expression is the right, and especially when youth try to express themselves or criticize the governments, it's their right, of course. But I would like to ask, is your country ratified like the freedom of expression and then implemented in the law? Because it can help you to like assure you to be safe in when you have like um what is it called, like a demo for in Indonesia we call it demo. So yeah, this is the best of because yeah, the freedom of expression should be implemented in all countries, and this is what you have to be more like voicing about this. Like you have to like speak your voice about this issue, like freedom of expression. So and try to understand about it, because if your country respect or ratify the freedom of expression, they shouldn't like um, arresting you to the like to jail. And yeah, of course, because and you also have to follow the procedure as well, like the rules. So yeah, just make sure that you follow the rules, and then yeah, of course. But to be honest, Indonesia has had the same problem before in 1998, and we like so many like students got arrested in jail. And but yeah, but the power of youth is so, I could say it's so amazing to change the political system, and then like after that our nation is really concerned on the freedom of expression. yeah, like that. So the first thing you have to understand about your right in the society as well as a youth, what you can do on to express your criticism and others. So yeah, I hope this answered your question.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. So, Laila, do you have anything to add more, or you can respond to question number 2 of Mr. Suhir?
No, I actually think that the question has been really answered by Ricky and King pretty well, though.
So, Mr. Key, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thanks, Rod and Hiền, yeah, that asked that question. So Hiền. For the second question, I think yeah, knowledge is the foundation, like I have mentioned, and the way that we I really refer to is that you need to have knowledge and information is very important, because why we cannot do something aggressively and without knowing the root cause and consequence of our action, because sometimes as you have known already about what our speaker have present earlier, that use easily to, if they are really well trained with psychology or radical ideology, they can sacrifice everything to do that, whether sometimes they do not even know that it is wrong or right, because ideological motivation is very powerful one for the youth, that is very careful for the youth. And even as Reggie have mentioned earlier too, that even well-educated people is still can be motivated by the ideology too. So the foundation of knowledge I refer to mean that youth need to have self-awareness. Self-awareness come from the understanding, the reading, the observation skill. It can come from anywhere. Yeah, even the teacher told them, but it come from themselves. They need to have that, because if they not have self-awareness, understanding about the issue critically rather than see in the eye, but in a critical way, is very important. That's why universities should apply critical thinking skill more and more on that too. Yeah, that from me. That from me. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Key, and all the speakers again. So, we have another question from our participant asked directly to Ms. Laila. The question is, what is your opinion about the terrorism level of for separatism movement in Babel? Is it a part in fighting totalism or just some government or group interest?
Okay, for my opinion about the terrorism level, it's actually when let's say the government is actually making a label to either separatism group or radical group to become a terrorist, or when we actually label them as a terrorist, it actually means that there is some urgency in there to basically know that the when we actually talk about the separatism movement, they usually only doing their act, but they don't really do any act of terror. The act of terror doesn't always mean that they have to do bombing, but then the act of terror, when we actually try to break down the act of terror, it's actually pretty pretty a lot of things that can be defined as an act of terror. The first one, they can actually try to, let's say, kidnapping an important person, and then they can when they hijack a bus, or like when they hijack a train station, or when they hijack an airplane, it's also it can also be known as an act of terror. But then when they actually, let's say, they stop, they not only kidnap, but they also like kill an important person, then it also means that they actually also have done the act of terror. What happened in Papua is actually the head of separatism movement. The thing with either the separatism movement, the radical movement, or like the terrorism groups, the head of the groups is actually didn't do anything. They don't do the dirty work. We can say it like that. They don't do the dirty work, so they only give you the perspective or like the ideas to actually doing it. Like what and that's what and that's what and that was the thing that make the security issue is like really high in there, because let's say the leader is actually not radical, but then there is 20 people under the leader that's actually willing to do anything for the leader. Because when we were talking about the terrorism group or like the separatism group, these kind of people, they are not afraid of that. So when we as the security studies seeing this kind of pattern, the rules, the law is actually saying that if you, let's say, if you are doing bad things, then you will go to prison. The heaviest drop of the law that they can get is actually, let's say, a death sentence. But then for these kind of people, they are willing to be dead to hold to their beliefs. And that's what thing that make radicalism is really, really, really hard to see for the youth. So in my opinion, in my perspective, when the government is actually give the separatism movement in Papua as label as terrorists, it's actually kind of on how they actually wanted to fight the terrorism groups. Because when they actually already define them as not anymore as a separatism group, but they are a terrorist group, then there must be something happening there that might not be out on the media, or like at least we don't really know what happened. But yeah, there's got to be something big happening in there, and then it's not spread out to the media, and then that's why maybe the government later choose to label them as a separatism group. Because like let's say in Indonesia we have a lot of separatism movement. Way before Papua we have Gerakan Aceh Merdeka and how they actually known as a separatism group, but they are not yet known as a terror. They never being labeled by Indonesian government as a terrorist group, but then they are being labeled by other countries as a terrorist group. So when Indonesia gave the label, I mean, there's got to be something big happening in there. I hope it answered the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Laila. So, any participant who want to ask more question? Okay, and our another participant is Venerable Pingley. He also share some of his perspective, some of his idea for Mr. So Hyun question. So maybe the other participant have no question anymore, and the time is over now. So maybe I would like to give the floor to Mr. Jenny.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Roth. to help us moderate this webinar session and have a grateful discussion between all the speakers and also uh, all the participants. Hopefully, all the knowledge, all the information that we get from all the speakers uh, can be can make us more criticism and also develop youth awareness about this issue. And on behalf of Ruang International, once again, I would like to say thank you very much for the moderator, Ms. Rose, for the keynote speaker, Mrs. Laila. Thank you for coming and uh, sharing more valuable presentation for us. And also Mr. K from Cambodia. We appreciate for the presentation and all the information and the great discussion with us. And also for Mr. Ricky as the representative of Indonesia. Thank you so much for your valuable presentation for us. Hopefully all uh, the information, the uh, knowledge that we can do more like youth movement maybe or youth education and also other activity related with that. And I think enough from us. And I would like to say thank you also to all participants. And now I invite to all the participants and all the speakers to turn on the video and we can take a photo session together.
I forgot to mention once again about our one participant. Her name is Maya. She want to get the slide from Mr. Vicky. So anyone can.
Yeah. I think all the materials and well the certificate will we will send in this week. So by email. So all the participants can check directly to their email. Okay. I invite to all the participants to open the video to take a photo session. Yeah. Okay. For the first session, we take a photo session with all the speakers and moderator. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Wait. Okay. Yeah. Now we enter the second session to all the participants and also the speakers to take a photo session. Yeah. Yeah. We still waiting. Mr. Norbert, Mr. Petra, Mrs. Berilia, maybe, or no, Yulia, Anya, Rizky, Muhammad Faisal, Aprilia, Inda, Nila, Olivia, Desti, Vanessa, Pitstopak. Okay. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah. Turn on your video. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Again. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. 1. Wait. The last but not least. Yeah. 1, 2. 3. 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2, 3. The last 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you very much. See you on the next session. Maybe for the next section, we will talking about education system in Indonesia and Cambodia. Okay. Good
Thank you,
afternoon. Thank
Lee,
you.
and everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
T.
You.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Keep it hot, guys. Thank you, Mr. Ricky. Thank you, Mrs. Laila. Thank you, Mr. K. Thank you, Mr.